Hi everyone, and welcome back to Rough Rider, where every week I talk writing, self-publishing, and living in a barely literate society. Today I'm going to be talking about an issue that a lot of self-publishing writers probably experience, unfortunately, which is that you put your book up for sale and it's just not selling. So obviously there's no way to guarantee that you will be successful in anything in life, so I can't make any promises there. But there are some things you could do to really reduce the risk of failure. So here's 6 reasons your book might not be selling and what you can do about it. So the first reason your book might not be selling is that you don't have enough reviews yet. All of you out there are going to face this. If you're a first-time author, no one knows who you are yet. So if someone's browsing for books on Amazon and stumbles upon yours, but they don't see that really very many other people have read it or have any opinions to give about it, they're much less likely to spend their money on that product. People are being really frugal right now, like times are tough. So they want to make sure that their money is money well spent. Even people who claim that they love to read everything are still not going to want to waste their money on a bad book. So this issue is always a tough one. I've complained about it a million times. So I guess really the thing that you need to do if this is your first book or this is the first time you've ever put anything out is you really are going to have to rely on people who know you in real life, whether you're like really close or just someone who's willing to like help you out and read your book and say something about it. Like those are the kinds of people that you're going to have write the first ones that are on Amazon. I don't think it's a good idea to have people going on there and being like, this is the best book I've ever read in my entire life. It changed my life. Like, no, it probably didn't. People are going to realize that that's like not a real review. Like that's an inside job. But have people write something honest. Tell them, say if there was something that you thought was lacking. I really think that like a 4.8 star review looks more realistic than all 5 stars. Like it just doesn't seem like something that would really happen. So if you really have all of these like perfect, ideal, glowing reviews up at the beginning, I don't think that's good. It just looks disingenuous. So get people who are going to write something honest and something that actually has some substance to it. Like those are the things people are going to want to see if they're trying to decide if this is a book that they should read. The good news though is that once you do have some reviews, then it's going to get easier to get people to write them. People don't really like to be the first ones to do something. So like just psychologically, I feel like they're a lot more likely to actually go there and write a review if they saw that, oh, well, plenty of other people have done it too. I'm not going to be like the weird one who's doing this. I can't give you an exact number of like what would be the number of reviews that you need to hit critical mass and then suddenly it's going to explode and like tons of people are going to write them. But I can say it will get easier. Now, the second reason that your book might not be selling is that your product description is weak. This is another reason why potential readers might be hesitant to buy your book. If they didn't see any reviews to tell them if it's worth reading, then not having a good product description that will tell them what they actually will be reading is really going to hurt your chances of getting them to buy it. Unless they've heard about your story from word of mouth, like a friend of theirs told them, oh, you need to read this book. It's about this. I loved it. Unless that's the case, they're probably not going to know anything about your book. They've never heard of you before. How would they? So your product description is all they're going to have to go on. This is probably the same as the blurb on the back of your book, but it's what comes up on Amazon when they look up your book. This is the description right there. So if that description is vague or poorly written or just boring, like not engaging at all, then that's not going to really catch their attention and it's not going to give them much of a reason to spend their money on it. If that's the case and your product description isn't as great as it could be, like don't worry, this is an easy one. All you have to do is rewrite it and just upload it to whatever self-publishing platform you're using. Like you just copy paste, hit save, and you're done. Like that's it. You've just fixed the problem. So if you do decide to rewrite your product description, I would say it's a good idea to run this by a few people. What you hear in your head might sound great, but to another person, the people that you are targeting here as your audience or as buyers, they might not think it sounds that great. So just have some people read it, like as many people as you can, ideally. They're going to spot weaknesses that you don't notice. And they're also going to be able to tell you what parts just really aren't engaging, like are just kind of useless filler. And what really matters is having a good hook that's really going to grab their attention. So they'll be able to tell you that also. If there is that 1 or 2 lines, that's the thing that they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this because of that. Like you need to make sure you have that. If you don't, then your product description is just kind of filler. And the next reason why your book might not be selling is that you need a better cover. Everyone judges a book by its cover. I don't care what they say. So we're just talking about product descriptions, but before a potential reader even gets to reading your product description, they're going to see the cover of your book. It's only going to take them a split second to decide if they're interested in learning more based purely on this one thumbnail that they're seeing. It's just an unfortunate fact of life, and it doesn't matter if you think it's unfair. This is just how it is. This is what people do. So if your cover is not going to grab their attention, your book's just going to disappear into the bowels of Amazon like so many other unread books. So you have a couple of different options for getting a book cover. I've talked about this in the past, so I'll put a link to that. If you're a graphic designer, if you have friends who are graphic designers who'd be willing to do you a favor, then great, you could do this yourself or have your friends do it and you're not going to have to spend any money. That's not always the case though, so you probably will have to spend spend some money on this. It is worth it though. You don't have to break the bank and spend like hundreds of dollars on some super professional cover, but something that is better than what you have now. It's really going to reduce the chances of them just glossing over your book and not giving it even a second's worth of consideration. But yeah, I'd say that a lackluster cover is something that really is going to affect your chances of people buying it. Again, however unfair that may be. Now, the next reason that your book might not be selling is that it's priced too high. So this is a really common mistake that people make. I made this mistake too. You're just setting your book's list price way too high to be competitive. So traditionally published books are printed in bulk, so they're just by default cheaper to produce and for the people who are buying them. The average paperback probably runs around what, like $10 or something, maybe a little less. But if you're self-publishing, you're probably going to be using a print-on-demand service, which means that your books are printed individually as they're ordered. This leads to higher printing costs because they're not printing it wholesale. So that drives up the retail price in itself. There's nothing you can do about that. You just need to accept that fact. But the part that really leads into problems is that you do have control over setting the list price. So it's really tempting for people to set that price really high so that way they can get more royalties. When printing costs are that high for like a print-on-demand book, you're going to have to really inflate the price in order to make like a substantial amount off of your author royalties. You know, if you had listed it around like $15, you're probably going to make somewhere between like 50 cents to $1 depending on how long your book is, I guess. So people see that and they're like, oh, I don't want to make like 50 cents to $1 per book. I want to make like at least 5. So let me price it higher. Well, okay, yeah, but then when you do that, people aren't really going to want to buy that. It's a lot pricier than books by people that they actually know. It's a hard enough sell when you're a first-time author. You don't want to make it that they're also going to be spending extra money to read something that they're not even sure about. It makes you uncompetitive, and that's just how markets work. Like, you need to be able to be competitive to actually be successful. So I would say for the time being, set your price as low as you can. You still want to make something, so don't make it where you make like a penny off of every book sale, but lower it so that way it's a more attractive price for prospective readers. You know, in the future, if you do end up being successful and you sell a lot and this becomes popular, then you can always raise the price later. Like, that's fine. But right now, it's just not a good time for you to be doing that. And the next reason your book might not be selling is that you just haven't done enough marketing. So it takes a lot of time and effort to write a book, obviously. But even after that is done, you have to put a lot more work into actually marketing it. You know, your work's not over yet, even after you finished your book. So just putting it up for sale on Amazon isn't going to guarantee that anyone's going to buy it or even see it. And since you decided not to traditionally publish, you're going to have to take on all the responsibilities of marketing your own product. There's a lot of ways to do this. Some ways will cost you money. Others might not really cost you anything. You could always run ads on Amazon or Google or Facebook. You don't have to spend a whole ton of money to get some people to see it. Like, I've run ad campaigns before that were like, $5 worth. There's always social media marketing, which is like the free option that most people will go to because it just makes sense. And then there's unconventional ways you could do it. You can print business cards for your book. You could leave your book at those like little library bookshare things that they have. Like, it looks like a mailbox and they'll have them in certain neighborhoods. You could put them there. There's a bunch of things you could do. But if you're not putting that effort in to really push your book and make it visible, it's not going to be visible. It's not just going to magically appear like that. Like, the internet doesn't work that way and life doesn't work that way. And that leads to the next reason that your book might not be selling is that you're not networking on social media. This is a continuation of the marketing thing, but if you're going to be doing social media marketing, it is more than just posting about your book. For the longest time, I didn't understand that that was the case. I would just be like, okay, well, I'll just put up posts about my book. I'll write up a couple of different ones that are hopefully intriguing, and then I'll just regularly put them up. Okay, that's cute. Like, I have some content now on my page, but if I'm not talking to other people and I'm not networking and like having these kinds of interactions and conversations, the algorithms will just not prioritize you in terms of visibility. They want people who are really engaging with others. So the system is going to treat you better if you're actually interacting with other people. If you don't interact with anyone and you just post links to Amazon repeatedly, you're just posting into a vacuum because probably no one's going to see it. But when you do start engaging with other people's content, commenting in a meaningful way, not like just like a emoji or like cool, awesome, like something of substance, like saying something meaningful, stuff that people are going to recognize as not being some bot and they will actually reply to. These are the kinds of interactions you want to have in order to actually boost your own visibility. If you're not doing that, then you're not really doing social media marketing, you're just posting. I personally don't really like striking up conversations with total like anonymous strangers online. Like, it's not really my favorite thing to be doing, but it is something that you learn to get better at. The more you've done it, the less uncomfortable it is. But yeah, that's really the only way you can market effectively on social media. You need to be having interactions like this. So anyway, there's a whole host of reasons that your book might not be selling. selling, but most of these things are an easy fix. There's never any way to guarantee that your book's going to be a bestseller, but there are things you can do to minimize the risk of it just totally flopping. I will say this, and I guess that this wouldn't directly affect your sales or anything, but I think another reason that you might just be getting so frustrated over this is that you're just not having enough patience. I've said before that self-publishing is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Most people who do it are not going to experience overnight success. This is just a fact. But just because you weren't initially successful, like in the first couple of weeks, doesn't mean that you won't be down the line. It could take months to get the kind of exposure that you need. It might even take years, to be honest. So you need to have realistic expectations with these kinds of things. If you put your book out like a week ago and you're not seeing any sales, like don't kick yourself over it, or don't like blame yourself, and don't get discouraged. Just be patient, keep writing more books. The more books you have out, the more chances you have at success. So anyway, if you want to read a little more about this, I have a blog post about it and you can find the link in the description. If you found it interesting or helpful, please like and subscribe, follow me on social media, and as always, thank you for watching. God bless.